Throwable weapons. In most good shooter games, your grenades are going to be the real utility in your loadout, and Helldivers 2 is no exception. Your pick for a throwable weapon is one of the most impactful choices to make for your loadout in Helldivers 2. And today, we're going to be ranking all of them, each and every single one. Here is the tier list. I'm going to have this linked in the description below, so you can go and make your own tier list of the throwable weapons if you really want to. And we're going to run through them in the order that they are listed in the game. So we're going to start off with the G7 Pineapple. The Pineapple is a pretty fun grenade in my opinion. It's not perfect, but it is very fun to use. It packs a lot of explosives for such a small package. Pretty much how it works is it deals 300 damage in a 4-meter radius with medium pen. Not that impressive, but it also spawns 18 small bomblets. Each of them will deal 300 damage on impact and 100 damage in a 2.5 meter radius. So you get quite a bit of AoE with this one. It's like a tiny airburst rocket launcher that you throw with your hands. The Pineapple is good at taking out crowds of smaller enemies, but it is not effective against large enemies whatsoever. It all caps off at medium pen, so it's not going to be useful against, say, a War Strider. Really what the Pineapple is good at is kind of thinning out patrols, taking out chaff enemies, and leaving the larger ones for you to take care of with your other weapons. Overall, this is a decent grenade. It's not the best, but I think it's pretty good. I'm going to put the Pineapple in B tier because I think it belongs there. It has a purpose, but it's not like great. Next up, we have the TED-63 Dynamite. This is one of the coolest grenades in the game, in my opinion. The Dynamite comes with a timer of 5 seconds, which can be programmed to be set to 15 or 60 seconds if you ever want that. I think 5 seconds is already a very long timer, and even if you don't increase it, you're going to need to get good at cooking the Dynamite. The Dynamite deals 1000 damage with heavy pen in a 6-meter radius, dropping off to 0 damage at 12 meters. The Dynamite will kill most enemies in the game instantly, and it can deal great damage to heavy enemies too. It usually won't kill the large guys like Bile Titans, War Striders, but it can do damage against them. Really, what I think the Dynamite is good at when it comes to killing enemies is enemy patrols. You can kind of throw it into an enemy patrol and it will take out a bunch of enemies in the patrol, especially against the bots. This will delete any like medium-sized enemy really fast. And it can even one-shot hulks if you land it behind them. That'll, hit them in the weak spot from the behind and it can kill them instantly. Plus, the Dynamite comes with 40 demo force, which is the same as the Ultimatum. This means that it can kill a lot of different objectives like Bile Titan spawners, bioprocessors, that kind of thing. The only actual downside to the Dynamite, in my opinion, apart from the long fuse, is that you can only carry 3 at a time. Considering it has 40 demo force, I think that having 3 is fair enough. Overall, I think the Dynamite is a really strong grenade, especially if you play against the bots. I would totally recommend it for the bots. For the Illuminate and the bugs, it's still okay, but it really shines in my opinion as a bot diver. I'm going to put the Dynamite in A tier. I think it's really strong, but not overpowered. Next up, we have the G6 Frag. This is one of my personal favorite grenades, honestly. I think that the Frag is slightly underrated. It is quite versatile and strong. Basically, the Frag grenade deals 500 damage with medium pen in a 4-meter radius, which is pretty decent. But it also spawns 35 shrapnel, as you might expect from a Frag grenade, and each shrapnel deals 110 damage with medium pen. This gives the Frag grenade a really high potential for damage against a group of enemies. The Frag grenade is great for general use. It works great at taking out medium or small enemies pretty fast. But one of the best things about the Frag grenade is that you can carry 6 frags by default, and up to 8 if you use a passive like Engineering Kit or Integrated Explosives. The Frag grenade is very spammable. You can constantly throw them at enemies, use them on, enemy buildings, enemy spawn points. Considering that you have so many of them, it is very versatile for taking out all kinds of different threats. And the Frag grenade has only ever been buffed since launch. It's just kind of really solid. It's very good. Anyone can use it. Anyone can understand it. I'm going to put the Frag grenade in A tier. think probably above the dynamite for now. Next up, we have the G12 High Explosive Grenade. This is the first grenade that a Helldiver will ever use. Frankly, this is a very unremarkable weapon. It is very basic, very standard. The high explosive deals 800 damage with heavy pen. And having heavy pen is pretty great, I can admit that, but it only has a tiny radius of 2.5 meters for that 800 damage. That is tiny. That is smaller than the frag. That is smaller than the pineapple, and you can only carry 4 of them by default. It's not like a terrible grenade, it's usable, but I would rather take the frag, or the dynamite especially, any day of the week. I think that if they want to buff the high explosive, it needs more radius, and you should be able to carry more of them, because only 4 and only 2.5 meters is really, really bad. And if you want demo force, you may as well take either the dynamite or the frag anyway, because you get 6 frags with 30 demo force, or 3 dynamites with 40 demo force. I'm putting the high explosive in C tier. It's below average. Next up, we have the G10 Incendiary. This is exactly what you think it is. This is an incendiary grenade, obviously. The initial explosion isn't very effective. It only deals 300 damage with medium pen in a 1 meter radius. But I don't think you're using an incendiary grenade for the explosion itself. You want it for the fire. And this is pretty good in that regard. It covers a decently sized area in fire, which is great for holding off enemies in a choke point or in any small area. I think that this works best against melee enemies like bugs, but fire can be viable against most enemies in the game regardless due to heavy armor penetration. But really what you want is the nice AoE area denial. That is what you want from it. This is decent on every front. I think that you can block off choke points in any planet, anywhere with this. It's a perfectly viable option for a grenade, and of course it also comes with 30 demo force to destroy things like spawn points if you need to, so it is perfectly viable. I'm putting the incendiary above the pineapple in B tier. Now we're moving on to the special grenades, and the first special grenade is the G31 Arc. This is a very unique and unpredictable grenade. It's straight out of Destiny or Destiny 2. After you throw the arc grenade, it will pulse 5 times. Each pulse will bounce the grenade around and shock nearby enemies. It will shock enemies in a 10 meter radius, dealing 100 damage per arc and applying a small stun. Each arc will penetrate heavy armor too, so this is great at crowd control in small areas like choke points. The damage isn't anything crazy, but being able to stun enemies for quite a while and in quite a decent radius actually is pretty useful. Now keep in mind that the bouncing effect on this grenade can make it very unpredictable. It can bounce into you and kill you, which is really frustrating, but you can avoid all damage from the arc grenade by going prone. And this can be used to your advantage. If you're being swarmed by bugs or overseers or whatever, you can toss it right on the ground and lay down, and it will just stun everything around you and deal some decent damage. And you can take the opportunity to run away, shoot back. Now, unfortunately, the arc does not have enough demo force to destroy enemy spawn points or any other buildings really. You need to bring another method of destroying enemy buildings, but you do get to carry 5 by default, which is pretty nice. I'm gonna put the arc grenade also in B tier. Next up, we have the G48 Giga Grenade. This is the newest grenade in the game, and it should look familiar to Battlefield players. Some say that the Giga Grenade is an alternative to the Thermite, and they wouldn't be wrong. But to me, it actually feels like having a slightly weaker ultimatum for a grenade. So basically, this is a massive impact grenade. It deals 2,000 damage in a 2 meter radius with anti-tank pen, and it reduces to 0 damage over 12 meters. This can one-shot most enemies in the game, even the dreaded War Striders. And it comes with 40 demo force, which is the same as the ultimatum and the dynamite, and it is extremely heavy. It can't be thrown far at all. This is why I say it's a lot like an ultimatum. It serves a lot of the same purposes that an ultimatum might have, like quickly killing a large enemy, quickly destroying a building, that kind of thing. But keep in mind that the large overall radius, combined with the small throwing distance, makes this a very dangerous grenade, I kept underestimating it when I first got my hands on it. I would throw it at a range that was way too close and I would blow myself up. Once you think about it like an ultimatum, like a small ultimatum, that will go away and you'll use it a lot more effectively. The biggest downside to the Giga Grenade is that you can only hold 2 at a time. Again, this is kind of why it reminds me of the ultimatum a lot. But you can of course increase this by using engineering kit or any other passive that gives you more throwables. Overall, this is extremely effective against armored enemies, but it does come with some drawbacks, like the small throwing distance and the ability to only hold 2 at a time by default. But still, this is quite a strong grenade. I think right now I'm gonna put the Giga Grenade in S tier. We'll see if my opinion changes later on, but I think that this is an incredibly strong grenade if you know how to use it. Next up, we have the G16 Impact. This is as simple as grenades get. You throw it, it explodes, and it will deal 400 damage with heavy pen in a 2.5 meter radius. The damage drops off to 0 after 7 meters. This is good for some quick, heavy pen damage against certain enemies, and it's very satisfying to throw into bug holes and other spawners. The overall potential of this grenade, though, is very low. Only 400 damage really isn't a lot to work with. The only reason that you would want to use this often is for quick and easy damage, but again, that's not going to cut it on like higher difficulties, I don't think. And although the impact is very fun and simple, there are far better choices if you know how to use them. I think that the impact is going to go into C tier with the high explosive. Probably above it, but still, the potential for it is very low and I don't use it anymore. Next up, we have the G89 Smokescreen. This is an impact smoke grenade, which is a neat concept, but ultimately this fails in execution. This serves the same function as a normal smoke grenade. You want to use it to obscure yourself from enemies. The main problem I have with this is that the cloud of smoke seems to be much smaller than a standard smoke grenade, making it far less effective at actually, obscuring enemies' line of sight. There is next to no practical reason to use this over a regular smoke grenade. Smoke grenades need volume to function correctly, and this doesn't really cut it. And it's not like you get more of these than a standard smoke grenade, you get the same amount. The only difference is that this is smaller and it's an impact. That's not really a big deal. And this costs 300 credits in the store. That's not worth the price. I try not to factor like item prices or the war bond they're in for like their ranking, but this is just insult to injury. If you like the smoke screen, then I'm happy for you, but in my opinion, this is a D tier throwable. This is bad. Next up, we have the G13 Incendiary Impact. As you can tell by the name, this combines the convenience of the impact grenade with the effects of the incendiary grenade, but just to a lesser degree. The explosion itself is the same as the standard incendiary, just with 200 less damage, bringing it down to 100 damage on detonation, which is laughably little, but again, you're not going to use this for the explosion, you're going to use it for the fire. And that is a problem that the incendiary impact has, is that it spreads less fire on impact when compared to the standard incendiary. So it's worse at holding down an area, but it does allow you to instantly set a few enemies on fire when you need it. I prefer the standard incendiary, but this grenade still serves a purpose in the sandbox. I'm going to put the incendiary impact in a low B tier. Next up, we have the GSH39 Shield. Halo fans would recognize this as their beloved bubble shield, and they wouldn't be too far off. Unlike any other throwable in the game, this is basically not a weapon. It's not a weapon. It doesn't actually deal any damage. It doesn't hurt anybody. This is meant to protect you. The shield has a tiny throwing distance. You basically toss it right in front of you, and the shield itself is large enough to fit 1, maybe 2 Helldivers. The shield can absorb 1000 damage, which is pretty good, but it doesn't regenerate any health. One of the best parts about the shield is that it can block one large burst of damage, like an ultimatum round or an orbital strike, allowing you to get up close and personal with some really big ordnance. It synergizes pretty well with stationary weapons like the maxi gun or emplacements. You can slap it on an HMG emplacement for some extra defense, and it's pretty fun to do. This is a very unique quote-unquote weapon, but if you can use it right, it's pretty good, and it opens up a bunch of new ideas and playstyles. In my opinion, I think that this is kind of underrated. I'm gonna put the shield in A tier. Next up, we have the G23 Stun. Stun grenades are exactly what you think they are. They stun enemies, and they actually do it pretty well. The stun grenade will stun pretty much anything within 10 meters, with the exception of some large enemies like Factory Striders and Bile Titans. It will stun enemies for about 5 seconds, which is a decent amount of time to shoot enemies or call in a stratagem. This grenade is so individual and unique that it's hard to compare it to the others, but it definitely has a place in the sandbox. However, you can only carry 4 stun grenades, and I think that considering you can carry 6 frags, you should be able to carry 5 or 6 stun grenades. I think that would be fair. And of course, the stun deals no damage, has no demo force, so if you do bring the stun, you need to bring other ways to destroy enemy spawn points, enemy buildings, enemy objectives, and that kind of thing. I think the stun grenade is also going to be a low B tier. I don't think it's that bad. It does have a purpose, but it's just not really that good either. Next up, we have the G4 gas grenade. This grenade is also very self-explanatory. It is a gas grenade. On detonation, it will deal a comically low 3 damage, but it will instantly confuse any enemy within 7 meters of the grenade. The gas will deal 25 damage per second and leave enemies confused, making them lose track of Helldivers, move around aimlessly, and attack randomly. This is actually a great option for some crowd control in a small area, especially considering that the gas effect comes with anti-tank level 2 penetration. That's pretty high. So you can actually deal damage to and confuse a wide variety of enemies. Almost anything in the game, really. And the gas grenade also has enough demo force to take out enemy spawn points, making it into a pretty useful tool against any faction pretty much. The gas grenade is terrible for raw damage, but it does offer a good amount of utility to keep it viable. I'm gonna put the gas grenade in a low A tier. I think it's pretty damn good, but it's not super great. Next up, we have the TM1 Lure Mine. This is a very unique and interesting throwable, and it's one of the newest, and it's actually one of my favorites. This functions unlike any standard grenade. You can't throw it far, and you will basically place the mine right in front of you. What this mine does is it will effectively taunt an enemy. They will treat it like an enemy and give it full priority. When the mine detonates, the mine itself will deal 1000 damage with anti-tank penetration in a 2-meter radius. That's right, this is basically an anti-tank mine that you carry in your pocket. That is incredibly strong. And the mine also has the same shrapnel as the frag grenade, which is incredible, frankly. It gives it thousands of extra potential damage with medium pen. So this is pretty much good against every enemy in the game. It's good against groups of small enemies, it's good against giant enemies, but this is especially good against ranged enemies. They will sit there and just shoot at it for a long time. They really don't know how to handle this thing. They just keep shooting it, and they miss every time too. However, you need to be careful when using the lure mine. The mine arms almost instantly after you throw it, and it will kill you if you come close to it. So don't throw it at an enemy that is rushing you. Don't throw it at an enemy that is even close to you at all. Make sure you lay this down first, and don't walk near it. When you can use the lure mine effectively, this is one of the best throwable weapons in the entire game, in my opinion, and it has to be one of the most fun, and it is certainly unique. The lure mine, in my opinion, is a definite S tier. I think above the Giga Grenade, in my opinion, just because it's so fun and so cool. Next up, we have the G50 Seeker. This is basically a stronger version of the Impact Grenade, just without the impact itself. After you throw the Seeker, it will look for enemies to attack, then it will fly to them and explode. And if it can't find an enemy, it will actually hover around you until it finds one, and then it will go and blow up on them. The Seeker deals 500 damage with heavy pen in a 3.5 meter radius, which is pretty solid. This works best against medium-sized enemies like cyborgs or overseers, especially flying overseers. It will prioritize flying enemies over enemies on the ground, making it good for quickly killing flying overseers or even dealing damage to gunships. One thing that is basically impossible with the Seeker is using it against enemy spawn points. You pretty much practically will never be able to do that. The demolition force on this is 30, but that is basically worthless. I think that the Seeker is very fun to use and somewhat viable, but you should be able to carry more of them, especially considering that you're not using this to blow up buildings, you're using this to kill enemies, which I think those kinds of grenades should be given more uses. I think the Seeker is going to be right in the middle of B tier, below the Arc, but above the Impact Incendiary. Next up, we have the G3 Smoke. This is the OG smoke grenade, and it's the only smoke grenade that is actually worth using right now. Of course, you can use this to block the enemy's line of sight to you. This is especially effective against the bots, who will often use ranged attacks against you. You can use smoke to cover yourself when you're taking care of objectives. You can drop a smoke on the ground when you're handling a terminal, or use smoke during rapid acquisition missions, which makes them much easier to handle and is one of the best reasons to ever use smoke in the game. The smoke will deal no damage to any enemy, it doesn't come with any demolition force, this is purely for utility, and it's actually not that bad when you know how to use it. But of course, you need to bring something else to kill enemy buildings, enemy objectives, when you have the smoke grenade. Smoke grenade is going to be in B tier as well, above the stun grenade. Next up, we have the G123 Thermite. This is one of the most beloved throwables in the entire game, and it still holds up after all this time. The Thermite will stick to enemies and burn into them, dealing 150 damage per second, and it will then explode, dealing 2,000 damage in a 1.5 meter radius. Both of these damage types will penetrate level 3 tank armor, giving the Thermite some of the highest penetration in the entire game. The Thermite will also create fire, which can deal damage to enemies with heavy armor, of course, and all of this combined makes the Thermite into one of the best anti-tank weapons in the entire game. It is extraordinarily effective against the largest and toughest enemies in the game. Plus, you can stick it to the back of a bunch of buildings like fabricators, and I think even bioprocessors, and kill them quite fast. This is the perfect anti-tank solution for new players, and there's a reason that Thermite is so well known and beloved by the player base. It is extremely strong, especially against those large enemies. It's an invaluable tool against the bots. I swear, it's so good. The Thermite is an easy S tier, above the Giga in my opinion. I think that the Thermite is just incredibly strong. Next up, we have the G109 Urchin. The Urchin is like a mix between the Thermite and the stun grenade. The Urchin will stick to an enemy and it will stun them. It will stun enemies in a 4 meter radius for almost 15 straight seconds. The small radius means that sticking the enemy is essential for this to work properly. This is a great option for stunning large enemies like War Striders or Bile Titans for a long period of time. The Urchin deals no damage and has no demolition force. All it does is stun and stagger enemies, but it does that incredibly well. If you're in a situation where you need to quickly neutralize an enemy for a long period of time, this is an excellent choice. But if you just want to deal damage to an enemy instead, bring a Thermite. The Urchin isn't useless like some people think it is, but I can see why Thermite is preferred in most situations. I'm going to put the Urchin right next to the Arc Grenade, above the Arc Grenade actually. I think that it's, you know, it's a middling grenade, but what it does well, it does excellent. It does it so well. Next up, we have the K2 Throwing Knife. Oh, the throwing knife, my old arch nemesis. On paper, this is a great idea for a throwable, but in practice, it falls flat most of the time, and I'll get to that later. I know that the throwing knife has some fans out there, but I personally really don't like using it in most missions. The throwing knife deals 300 damage with medium pen, making it more comparable to a secondary like the Verdict or the Talon. It is really hard to actually compare the throwing knife to the other throwable weapons in the game because it is so individual. Aiming the throwing knife itself is pointlessly difficult, It has a very strange arc, and it always goes a bit to the left. Oftentimes, I need to aim down and to the right to land my hits. It just feels strange when that's like a requirement for a throwable. One benefit is that you get 20 of them by default, which is good because when Viper Commandos was released, it was only 8 by default, and that was pitiful, frankly. Now, even though I really don't like the throwing knives in any normal missions, the addition of stealth missions has been a saving grace for this weapon. They are silent, and they do have some value during stealth missions. They're a great option if you want some silent medium pen damage. But other than that specific scenario, don't bring them. I think that to buff the throwing knife, they should give it a poison effect, they should make it throw straight, and they should let you pick them back up. And if you're holding a throwing knife, a melee attack should be a proper melee with a knife. Do those things, and I think that the throwing knife might actually be good. But until then, the throwing knife is in C tier. You know what, I'm gonna put it higher than the high explosive. I actually quite enjoy using this on stealth missions. It's fun to use there. Those stealth missions are doing a lot of work for the throwing knife. I mean, they give this weapon a breath of fresh air. And our final weapon is the G142 Pyrotech. This is a pretty awesome grenade. It is unlike any of the other standard grenades in the game. After you throw the Pyrotech, it will start spewing out sparks in all directions. The sparks deal no actual damage themselves, but they penetrate level 3 tank armor and apply the fire status effect, meaning that this grenade can set pretty much anything on fire. When the Pyrotech explodes, it will deal 50 damage with medium pen in a 2.5 meter radius, which is basically nothing, but the explosion will set pretty much anything within 5 meters on fire, and it will spread fire in the area just like an incendiary grenade. It also comes with 30 demo force, keeping it in line with other standard grenades like the frag and even the other incendiaries. The Pyrotech is basically just a fancy incendiary grenade with some special properties. Plus, you get to carry 6 Pyrotechs, which makes them very easy to spam out, set enemies on fire, and throw them into spawn points, which is a lot like the frag grenade. These are actually surprisingly versatile if you know how to use them. And if you can get used to using them well, they are quite fun and they're pretty damn good. I'm gonna put the Pyrotech in A tier, I think right below the Dynamite. And there it is. This is my tier list for the throwable weapons of Helldivers 2. Would I make any changes here? Honestly, I don't think I would change anything about this. Maybe Thermite could go above the Lurmine because it's such a classic, it's so effective, but I just love the Lurmine. I think it's my favorite right now. I honestly don't think I need to revise this at all. This is what I feel like is right, at least for my opinion. So if you disagree with me, please let me know in the comments, because having a discussion is pretty much the whole point of this video. So I want to thank all of you for watching, and of course I want to thank my Hell Troopers. Swickety, Archangel Shipyards, Dirty Nightmare, Findas16, ODST Exotic, John Droll, Tinfoil Freak, Melek Paragon 9231, Jack of Nothingness, Sire Melk, Thackum Dub, and Kermite Official. Thank you all for continuing to support the channel. It means a lot to me. And that is just about it for today. This is Grand Moff Togan of the SES Prophet of Dawn, signing off.